Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Greg.
Oh, and now you can hear me. Well, now you can hear me and see me, I believe. God, I'm looking fuzzier every time I look at the computer.
Right. I feel like I'm on Mars. I look red.
You do indeed.
All right, there we go. Right.
Miriam, I was thinking I'd send Thomas the document I created.
Sure.
That'd be helpful?
Yeah.
Might be.
He well, we can get into it when we start the meeting. Gotta wait.
Yes.
Hold on a second. I've got a call. I'll be right back.
Question mark.
Okay. Hi. That was funny. That was my grandson told his father that I gave him Halloween candy for breakfast. Which I definitely did not do. I think he was trying to set the bar.
Right,
for what
exactly.
would happen.
Reset the bar.
He gave me candy for breakfast. I hope we get a quorum. I'm a little concerned. We don't know who else is.
Well, we'll see shortly, I guess. I did not. I mean, did Karen get the material? I didn't take it to her.
Yes.
You did.
Mary Lou
Oh, great.
did so.
Great, thank you. Well, thank you, Mary Lou.
Yeah, I don't see anybody else on this.
Azelle, is this a night that Azelle can attend?
I thought she, I thought I made it clear to her that it would be Monday, and she said that yes, indeed, today was doable. But
And do we have a visitor?
oh yeah,
Jody, is that correct?
hello, Jody.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Said the magic word.
They're in the wrong meeting. They're like, what am I doing here?
How do people end up here? I guess as part of the tone, anybody can come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mystery of the internet. I'll be right back.
Maybe I should call Karen. I mean, after all we did to get her in, let's see.
You want me to call Janice?
Sure.
Are you checking to see if anybody's in the waiting room, Henry?
Nobody's in the waiting room. Hi, Karen. It's Henry. We're having a meeting just now at 7. please do log on when you can. Thanks. We're waiting for you. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Yeah, I got on late myself. Yeah. Ciao. Zell's on her way. She forgot. Okay.
Hi, Henry. Any luck?
Yeah, I got it, Zell. She's gonna log on in a minute.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What?
It's Zell. Zell was gonna log on just now.
Oh, good.
Yep. Yeah. I've been I'm still working for the university. I've got students looking for jobs and things with deadlines. Got to send letters in, so that's what I was just doing. The deadline is, this afternoon.
Well, you've got how many hours left still? 4 hours? 4 or 5? Easy for a man of your capabilities.
Well, your stock letters of recommendation, just change the names.
Oh, no, you can't do that. Everyone's unique.
Oh, you can mix and match paragraphs.
Yeah, you probably could. Yeah.
There's only so many ways you can say somebody's good.
Yeah. Well, the English, when they write recommendations, like, 2 sentences. This is pro forma. British, anybody in Britain will write a letter, like 2 sentences. That's it. I like the person. They're a good student. That's it.
I can't recommend them too highly.
Exactly. But here in America, you got to write, pages.
Yeah.
To review their work. It's like
right with an English accent. Then
there you go. It's out. Oh, there she is.
Connecting to audio.
We got a quorum then.
Take a joke. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Zell, welcome.
Hola.
Hey, ¿qué tal?
Sorry. Hey, it was all in my head all day. Yeah, okay. I'm going to be back at my house by 7. And, well, a lot of other things got in the way.
They do.
No worries. We're all here. I was a bit late myself. We have a quorum. Let's get started.
Oh.
So I don't have the agenda in front of me.
I have it. First was minutes. I feel like we did not approve the September minutes at the last meeting. I don't know why we didn't.
Was there enough people who were there?
Yeah, not enough people have read it, and
There are not enough people. We need at least 4 people at this meeting.
Who were there? So were all 4 of us? Zell, were you at the?
No, so that we don't have a quorum to approve the minutes then.
Okay, and then for the working group, we don't need to have the full quorum of the group. We need to have a majority of the people who are at the meeting. And it was Mary Lou, Leslie, me, Henry, Greg. It's 5. We need 3. So we could approve the minutes that I just circulated for the October 19th working group.
Okay, that's fine with me. I
Just
have a
sent
look at them.
them. I mean, it's just pretty basic.
Yep. I had a look at. No, I didn't see any
You
problems.
Make that motion then.
Okay. All right, so we'll postpone so who wants to make a motion?
I move to approve the minutes of is it September,
October.
date
19.
I'll
29.
second.
22nd,
Okay.
regarding working group.
Yep.
Which working group? The archival.
There. It was the archiving working group.
But Iselle was not there that night.
But she can't vote.
She can't vote.
But three of us were,
That's three.
and 3 of 5 can vote on it.
Oh, yes.
That's, I think, what Miriam was saying.
Okay. For a working group, that's possible, huh?
Okay.
All right. So I made the motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay.
And we all vote in favor. So
Yes, unanimous.
Unanimous vote here. We got Greg Colton, Henry Geddes, and Miriam Defont. This is for the recording, mind you. What's up next?
discuss grants for the Historical Commission collection archiving. I had a conversation on the phone with Tom Doyle, who's the archivist. And he said that it's a little bit, probably be very tricky to meet the CPC criteria for an inventory. You have to meet a certain criteria for historical information, that you are preserving something that's of significant historic value, and doing an inventory is looking to
Itself.
see what?
Is not in itself of historic value.
Right. It would be looking to see what is. It would be the thing that would lead to our determination of what we needed to preserve that was of historic value. So he said, doing the inventory would be a good preface to a later application at a different year. So I think that that's probably true. And perhaps what we need to do is look for other grant sources. And I talked with Tom, and I also looked in the document that had been provided for us, the roving archivist report, and there were some grant opportunities. And they're not very onerous to do the applications. The Massachusetts Humanities has a grant made possible through the support of the National Endowment for Humanities, and they have a local history grant of our maximum of $2,000 to support small organizations in identifying and organizing the contents of their historical collections by creating inventories, catalogs, and finding aids, as well as digitizing. Oh yeah. So that definitely
Right up the right alley.
And it I think that is a rolling application. It's awarded throughout the year, so we haven't missed a deadline. We could do that. Then I saw that the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners has a grant. And where was the one I'm thinking about? I'm trying to find it. I thought I pasted it in here. Oh no, here. The SHRAB has a grant that they offer. It's called a re-granting program. It's for people who have participated in the roving archivist program, which we've done. And it's for an award of up to $1,000 with a 25% cost share. Meaning, we would pay, if we paid $250, they would pay $1,000, I think. That application opens up in January and is due in February. And again, it's not a very onerous grant. So if we were to say for these two, we want to try to apply for them, I'm happy to work on it and try to get some quotes from somebody to get an idea of getting some assistance with the inventorying.
That would be great.
And maybe when Tom comes out, Tom Doyle is coming out tomorrow and meeting with Greg and Leslie to look at the collection himself, because he hasn't seen it. He was not the original archivist that came out. One of the things that he is open to doing, Greg, is to doing a Zoom training for us on how to
Great.
do inventorying.
Excellent.
So I thought, yeah, let's do that. Let's see what we can do ourselves, and get some more instruction from him. That sounded great. And he can look at what you've started. So I'm going to go tomorrow just because I wanted Leslie to show me how to unlock the door, because my keys, I can't get the keys to work, but I'm not going to stay. I'll just leave it up to you guys to have the meeting with him, and then,
No worries.
report back to us. And, we'll set up maybe a working group time, or anybody, a time in between our meetings to do the Zoom.
Well, yeah.
It'll probably end up during the day.
Okay, that's all good.
What do you think about these two grants, guys?
They sound, I think we could use the funding. So they sound great.
So it seems like there's kind of a history of CPC. It sounds like they have money, but they're not very, they don't let it go very easily.
They're not allowed to let it go very easily.
Right there.
So is there reasoning for not giving the money for the archival, what is it? Walk or inventory? Is that all like straight?
It's not covered by the CPC, apparently.
The eligibility is it's a very narrow eligibility. Any project has to be approved by the town attorney.
Oh.
And then it goes to the Department of Revenue, the State Department of Revenue.
Right.
Now I did see that other towns have done inventories of structures, of historic structures in their historic districts and things like that. That's a little different, because there it's already determined that the structures are
Of historic value.
importance, and it's really just updating their inventory. Here it's kind of we're doing a dumpster dive to see what's in there.
Oh.
We don't know how much is significant. Maybe it's a lot of stuff. I don't know. I mean, I haven't dug in those files.
We got it. I think Karen's here.
Oh, great.
See a Karen or
Zoom user.
This is a user. If that's
Well, I'll respond to it earlier.
it's Leslie.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yay.
sorry, I forgot about it.
That's all right.
We're just talking, Leslie, about grants. And there's a couple of small grants that are available for helping historical organizations do inventories. Not a lot of money. It's like one grant is for $1,000, one is for $2,000. So the question is, how would, I'd have to do some research to see how much an archivist could do for a couple $1,000. On the other end of it, Tom Doyle from the Roving Archivist Program is coming out and meeting you guys tomorrow. And he's offered to do a Zoom training for the whole commission to assist us in sort of how to do inventorying. So
Sounds good.
if we want to try to continue with this task of doing inventorying on our own, the other thing we could look at for these small grants is whether we want to get materials and equipment like better file cabinets or archival quality storage boxes that are mouse proof, if such a thing exists. And we could get quotes on those things, and put that into a grant.
That all sounds good. Maybe we should wait till we see Thomas Doyle tomorrow,
Yeah.
see what he says. But that all sounds good. But I think even plastic boxes are probably more mouse-proof than cardboard ones. So even if they were,
Yeah, I've got some plastic boxes over there. The thing about, I don't know what the holding capacity is, the floor. So the floor might be in that old building.
right?
So the standard file cabinets, yeah, we could get new ones of those. But if we were trying to go with something that was, also fireproof and that, those are pretty darn heavy. I don't know that this room that we have is the ideal long-term storage room to begin with, for sure.
Well, you've got one 4-drawer file and one 2-drawer file.
Correct. Yep, the
And-
lightweight kind. They're not the secure fire
Right.
safety kind.
But even if you were to, for example, replace it with 2 5-drawer files, you'd have a lot more storage capacity for about the same.
I'm not sure because there's shelves above it.
Okay.
The 4-drawer, I think, fits just, we'll see tomorrow.
Well, you can think about that when you're there, of whether or not, if we were going to write a grant, whether, that might be helpful to be thinking about storage stuff.
Yeah, well,
and-
it's
and
really up to
archival
you
file-
guys to arrange that room however you want.
Well, yes, but we need your help.
Mm.
But if we were going to replace things with archival folders, archival boxes, the thing about plastic boxes, what I'm not really sure about is how well they do in humid conditions. I'm concerned that moisture
Mhm.
collects them and they don't breathe.
Mhm.
And they might,
I've got 2 stacked under one of the desks and I haven't had any moisture problem, and I bet I've had them there. Well, they were there before I left the town clerk's office, which is over 5 years ago, and it's not a problem, and mice don't get in them.
Yeah.
That's a
But
benefit.
the room is filled to the gills.
yes. Right. And mice can get on lots of things in there. So putting things in plastic boxes that are mouse proof sounds like a good idea. So maybe that's something you could assess, because they're not cheap, big plastic boxes.
And
we
you
take
need quite a few of them.
Yep.
And where are we going to put them, Greg?
I don't know. Doing, isn't it?
Well, it's going to contain some. I don't know. Well, look, yeah, some of the stuff would move out of boxes into plastic boxes, I guess. So if you throw the old boxes out.
Yeah, we have archival boxes too, all on the shelves. I just want to say, I think Greg did an incredible job with this mapping. I'm very impressed and grateful.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
Good place to
Really
start.
great. So, so again, like,
Oh.
if you can measure the quantities of things so that if I'm looking for quotes, I get an idea of how many linear feet of this or
Right,
that.
and you can mention that in the quote. Yes,
Right.
that's where we're going.
Okay. So I guess, maybe I'll try to see if I can develop a grant application that looks at some aspect of this.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do, if I'm going to do this, have a couple conversations with Tom Doyle,
Right.
just pick his brain about how to use grant money for this. So,
Now that meeting with Tom is tomorrow.
Tomorrow at 10.
Yeah, are we all expected to attend that?
No.
Yeah,
So
I've got
Leslie and I really.
appointments. I just can't make it.
honestly, I'm going to show up at 10 just because I want you to help me with my keys.
I think it probably is the same problem Janice Stone was having. You really have to push down hard on the
Yes. Yes.
lever on the outside, the
You
door
do.
handle on the
Okay,
outside.
Well, you can do a tutorial for me.
By Zoom.
Or Greg can, I don't know. I have arthritic hands, so that's also a challenge for me, but
Yeah.
okay.
I have arthritic hands, but you can do it. You just have to have faith that it will open.
Was that
And
where-
sometimes it's
Hey.
very loose. It depends on the weather, things swell and shift and
Okay,
Oh,
Anyway, moving right along,
okay.
what do we got next there?
Updates on outreach efforts to tribal consultants. I don't think we have anything on this.
We did it, haven't heard back.
We wrote the letter in support of Doug being appointed by USIT. Remember that? Does everybody remember that? Do people remember that? I don't know. You
believe
remember
so.
like silence. What?
Yes,
yeah.
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 And I have not heard back whether there's been any movement on that.
So it's ongoing.
Yeah. And I did reach out to Doug asking whether he might be able to assist us in evaluating any of the data that was collected for Southbrook.
Yep, that sounds good.
And speaking of which, I informed Miriam and Janice that the photographs that were taken on that I took on my camera ended up not having the GPS
Oh,
attached to them. So my thought was, I think it'd be pretty easy for me, I don't mind doing it, is going back and just retracing and taking a few shots where we stopped, in particular around stream crossings and near wetlands. But I don't know what you think of that. But,
I think that'd be great. One thing I was thinking about that would be an ask I have about Southbrook, since you guys went out there, is, aside from the stone groupings, but including the stone groupings, I think that it would be really good to have a letter coming from Henry to the Conservation Commission about what your concerns are, what you observed around this proposed mountain biking trail, and anything else you want to include. I think it makes a difference if it's in writing, and it makes a difference if I'm not the one doing it, because I'm writing a report to myself.
but we'd have to make observations within our domain, right? I mean, we couldn't really talk about environmental impact.
Well, no, you can. If you observe something and you're concerned about it.
Okay, yeah, no,
You can
you're
say,
right. You're right.
we observed that, this mountain biking trail, looks like it would degrade the environment. You said there were spots where you looked in every direction and you saw
Yep.
paint flagging, and it wasn't clear to anybody how this could be a single trail. It looked like it was just crisscrossing and retracing steps, and would end up degrading a large area of wetlands. And I don't know, there were no stone groupings on that trail.
Not
Not
really.
that we saw.
No.
Well, Janice, you're here.
Yes, sorry. I didn't remember there was a meeting tonight.
When did you I just saw you here. When did you come in?
About at 7:30. Somebody let me in.
I did.
Oh, okay.
So this is now the first of the monthly regular meetings on Mondays, correct? Every first Monday of every
Yeah,
month.
but just to be clear, I spoke to Grace and she was still hesitant, even though going back several months, there's the indication that there's plenty of space on Mondays, first Mondays of the month. She claims that the library, it could be one, it's another committee, they will likely meet regularly, in which case I guess we'll be playing second to their, they may have reserved it. This is something I don't quite understand.
Well, I just reserved it.
I know. Well, this is what I'm telling you, what she told me. There's no, yeah, she was
And there's no capacity to have two meetings, two accounts. I thought there was.
apparently not.
Harris has an account.
Well, they could always be consecutive.
They could at a different time, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm just telling you, just to
Yeah.
give you an idea, that things could be a little, yeah.
Well,
could
she's gonna
change.
let us, who's gonna let us know if there's a conflict?
After December, or into December, Grace is gonna get back to me, or I'll contact her because I want to know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can tell you that Grace and Becky were in the assessor's office today asking me a question about some minutes. And I said to Grace, I'll be there at 10 at the Old Town Hall at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning if you want to look in the vault with me. And she said she was planning to come to this meeting because she wanted to meet the archivist or something like that. So you'll all be seeing her tomorrow if you want to formulate a question for her about
no.
this.
Want to meet the archivist?
No, at this point, I think we're just gonna see what turns up for this other committee, if they.
Leslie, was it an issue because we hadn't asked her permission to get into town hall?
Oh,
No, I
no,
don't
no.
think so. Because as a matter of fact, I said, oh, by the way, in case we've forgotten to tell you that we are going to be there tomorrow morning. And she said, and that's when she said she was planning to come to this meeting, I guess when she posted it probably, because she wanted to hear what the archivist had to say. So
The
forewarning,
archivist is actually not saying much tomorrow. He's collecting information himself.
right.
So
I'm mostly letting you know in case you had a question to ask her
Okay.
about the meeting time.
And she understands that this is not about town records.
I hope so. I don't know. It was very confusing. They were asking me a question about minutes from 2011 and I was late to get to the post office before they closed. I thought for a minute, maybe you would want to ask her a question tomorrow.
I think
No,
maybe
no,
it's best
no.
to keep those separate, those two things.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, because
separate.
if Henry's not there, we don't want to get into talking.
Yeah,
about
no,
the-
we don't need to ask her anything at this point.
Okay,
She's, you know,
It's forgotten in my mind.
we'll figure it out.
And will be in mind soon.
Yeah.
Hey,
Is it-
before
Yes,
Well,
Isabel.
before we do another leap to another subject and hop around, I just want to say, Henry, if you schedule that walk, I didn't get to walk in Southbrook, and I wouldn't mind going with you when you take those pictures just to see. I'd love to do that walk.
You'll have my back.
All right. Good.
So
Thank
while we're staying on Southbrook and Janice is here, so Janice chime in. I was saying it would be helpful to have something in writing about the concerns about the mountain biking trail and also, and that, we want to assert that we want consultation around these stone groupings if they're going to be repairing trails. They have put something in writing to the Conservation Commission. And I was saying I shouldn't be writing it because I'd be writing it myself.
Yeah,
But just document all this.
as far as I could see, I didn't see anything. I mean, we didn't cover every inch. We sort of followed the trails and wandered back and forth, but I didn't see any evidence of the stone groupings in that lower parcel, the northern parcel, I should say, I guess. Certainly there are in the other one in E3, but I don't know that there are any here, although, there could be. And
Well, if there are some in
We didn't see 'em.
E3 and they're going to be redoing trails.
yeah, right. If they do, if they work on any trails in E3, then yes, that would certainly be an issue to bring up.
And E3 is which one? Is that the,
The southern one. It's the Southbrook property. It's the one that was purchased,
Okay.
what was it, 10 years ago? I don't remember what exactly. when it was.
2000.
Okay, 20 years ago.
Of course,
I- By the way, there's a little controversy about Southbrook.
What?
Which is, do you guys want to know what the controversy is?
Yeah.
Oh,
So Janice, you saw this, that I was told by Becky that we need to take the signs down and we don't have the right to post it.
Oh, yeah. Nerve.
And that we also don't have the authority to say whether or not the Fish and Wildlife take over the parking lot and boat launch.
Has Becky responded with that, or the town council, that we do not have authority on either of those things?
Well, she's saying that, Becky's saying that. I
It
haven't
should be on
talked to-
paper.
I haven't talked to town council.
Yeah.
And I think I'll invite them or Becky to come to a Concom meeting, but I don't understand it. The management plan for Southbrook, which I dug up, the original management plan, which was signed by the select board, said that the Concom manages the property. And I even think that that might have been part of the original self-help grant, that it had to be managed as conservation land.
I believe so. The boat ramp was supposedly the first self-help grant. Now, maybe it was the first one in our town or in our area or something like that, but it was early 70s, if I remember correctly. And those always were and still are a situation where the Conservation Commission is the manager of the property.
Well, I was looking through some old minutes on another issue for the Concom, and I was
Uh-huh.
looking at minutes in the 1990s.
Yeah.
And I found a meeting minute from 1997 where the Conservation Commission voted to post the conservation area
Ah,
because there were people vandalizing it.
yeah. Okay. I think she's wrong. That's all,
Leslie, you probably didn't hear this part of it, that recently I was walking in Southbrook and came across a guy on a truck who was driving the truck down a trail and told me he was commercially harvesting mountain laurel to sell to florists to make wreaths.
What?
And he claimed that he had license to do it. I reported him to the police. The police talked to him and found out that he doesn't have a license
Of course not.
and that he knew he was knowingly harvesting it from town-owned conservation land. And it's illegal to harvest mountain laurel commercially.
Oh, it's a lot more than I knew, that's for sure.
So imagine my surprise. I'm walking down the trail and this truck shows up and I asked him to leave and he wouldn't.
Urgh.
And he said it wasn't posted, so he could do what he wanted. And he said the same thing to Officer Burgess. And that's why we posted it. We voted and we put up a sign, and now we're being told by Becky to take the sign down.
And the
Ooh.
sign says no harvesting of laurel.
No, it
or-
says no unauthorized motor vehicles except for snowmobiles.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Like that law.
That's some
That
chutzpah,
rule.
though, that
Are you a
guy.
snowmobile? Are you a snowmobiler?
It seems to me over the years, the Conservation Commission was always responsible for taking care of the beach, emptying the trash.
That's right. I used to clean the outhouse as part of
Lucky
as
you.
the Concom
Yeah.
job. Yeah. Yeah. And we would rake the beach or something, and yeah, we do all that sort of stuff back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever,
You should have told you back then you didn't have to do it. It would have been-
Yeah.
But it seems like the select board, now Becky's not a select person, but the select board appoints the Conservation Commission. So I suppose in a sense the select board, not Becky, has authority over your actions if they're not to do with statute.
There
think
is-
so.
There is the Conservation Commission Act, which gives the Conservation Commission authority to manage their lands. It's a separate thing.
Good.
And so the question is, does that land fall under it? Yes, it was under a self-help grant. And so, yes, it would.
Yeah, I can pull out tomorrow if I'm reminded that Bill Randall's book that talks about the formation to make sure that it was a self-help grant. And
If you want to see it, Leslie, I have I scanned the management plan from the
Oh,
conservation.
good.
I
Yeah,
have,
no, I don't need to get involved anymore. I'm just offering if you want that, if Janice wanted to see the
yeah, well,
original.
that's an interesting issue,
Yeah.
Janet, that you're saying about the Conservation Act. I'm not going out there personally and removing that sign. I don't have it in me to pull that sign out. Somebody, Becky wants to take it off. She can have somebody and take it off. But, you know, I donated it, so I'll be a little bummed out if they don't return it to me.
And
Yeah.
what was the reasoning that,
That you need a bylaw to post the land, that it's not legal unless there's a town bylaw.
uh-huh.
Grasping at
So we
straws.
don't know, maybe she and Kristen figured this out after the fact or something, or we don't know.
Kristen, who's Kristen?
The police chief, I thought you said the police chief was
Kristen.
involved.
No, I don't think it was from Kristen. I think it was from, I don't know, maybe it was with Donna. Maybe Donna McNichol has some issue at it. I don't know.
Or maybe she made it up. I don't believe it.
That's happened by personal experience that Becky was wrong on something. And it took a month to clarify, but
Mhm.
it got clarified.
Yeah, well, you know, I was just trying to get clarification because the state wants to take over the boat ramp and parking lot and make it part of Division of Fish and Wildlife and put it on their website as a public access point. And I went out last week and met with an official from Fish and Wildlife, and he said that statewide, they've had problems with all of these sites because they become overly congested during the summer and people park illegally and nobody can get in to the parking spaces, and that they have a statewide enforcement task force trying to resolve these issues by going out and mass ticketing people and towing them.
So they want more properties to have problems with?
Right. And they want the local police to do the enforcement and monitoring.
Ah,
All right,
Very well.
All right, moving on.
moving on.
All right, so that was that. We haven't heard anything from Eva about mapping, have we, Henry?
No, because as I mentioned to you,
Oh, you
the
have to get her more photos. right?
coordinates, I gotta send those to her. Now,
Okay.
I was just gonna say one thing about the letter that would go out, you know, to the Concom from the Historical Commission.
Yeah,
That in that letter, it might, I don't know, we could say that the on one side, we believe there are stone structures after having done a preliminary survey. And therefore, there are possibilities for there to be others. You know, in other words, there's a
Mhm.
boundary between those two areas. And it's possible that there are others as well, right?
that's
Uh,
true.
And I think saying there are things out there. We have concerns about the wetlands being impacted by the biking trail. We looked at that route.
Yeah, streams and
And we've identified some historic properties, and if you are going to be repairing or moving the trails, we would like to go out with you before you make a final decision and give some input into whether we think it's going to have an impact on something.
Mhm. That makes sense.
all right. Sounds like a plan.
No, because I know that they're going to be repairing some trails, because there's some really mucky areas that go through wetlands and they've got to do something. But they may want to move the trails, and Liam Cregan is the one who's doing the mapping. And Liam doesn't know how to identify any historical issues. So I think that letter, if it could be drafted and sent out in the next month, maybe we could approve it at our next meeting. I think that would be helpful for the work that the Concom is doing.
Good.
It's a lot harder to go back after they've already designed a trail and say, would you please redesign it again
Yeah,
and move it? I mean, it could even be as simple as Henry, you sending an email saying, we would like to review what you're going to do before you finalize your plans, because we've identified some stuff out there.
that simple. Okay,
Yeah, I mean, it's an ask, right?
yeah,
And I would send it to the Concom and me and also to Penny Jake's email. Because she's supervising Liam Cregan.
okay. Yeah.
That would be good. Okay. Next on the agenda,
Scenic bylaws.
CPs, well, no, CPC representative. So I guess that's resolved now. That's a resolved issue, right?
Yes, I'm officially now going to attend meetings. Yeah.
Okay, so do I still need to resign?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't done that.
If you don't resign, they won't appoint Henry.
Okay, so tell me again, who do I send that to?
Send it to the Historical Commission email,
Right.
to CPC email, and to the Select Board.
So CPC is Alan, the one,
Oh, it's an email, cpc@shutesbury.org.
okay, and the select board. Okay. Got it. Yeah, sorry. I didn't realize when I was really excited about doing it, and I didn't realize their meetings were primarily Thursday evenings. Can't do it. For 20 years, I have a prior commitment. 22
Ah.
years.
Yeah.
No, my theater group, they win. Sorry.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
So the next thing on the agenda was, I've been thinking about this, and Janice, I'm glad you're here, because I've been looking at local, different towns' scenic byways bylaws.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering whether we might want to try to approach the planning board to try to work jointly with them to develop a bylaw for town meeting for this coming spring.
With which group? With the planning board, right?
Planning
That's-
board, maybe planning board and,
Yeah,
but I was thinking more the planning board.
yeah, and they're the ones, the thing that I ran into looking over the scenic byway stuff is that the way it's set up, the sort of standard scenic byways, it falls under the planning board. And I don't know if it has to be like that, or if it can be a joint thing, with historical and planning or whatever. I mentioned it at one point to Deacon, and he seemed interested in, talking about it. But that was, I don't know, was that a year, 2 years ago? It was pre-COVID. At any rate.
Well, yeah, I mean, so for those of you who don't know how it works, I've looked at it. You have a bylaw that creates this scenic byways. And if something is on a scenic byway, then the stone walls and historic trees can be protected. And then what that just means is that they can't be destroyed without being reviewed by the planning board. That you can't go out and destroy a stone wall, you can't cut down a historic tree without permission from the planning board. And then the planning board reviews I don't know, Janice, does town meeting approve which roads become scenic byways, or is it the planning board that you create the structure with the bylaw and then the town, they vote in which, maybe it's all in one, that
I can't remember.
you
Yeah.
create a scenic byways bylaw and then nominate which roads would be included in it, and then that's passed maybe at town meeting.
It probably is that's probably the order
And
of
maybe
things.
there's a process for getting new roads or but I think it's like you do an inventory of everything and it's a kind of one
Mhm.
action.
When we looked at it before, I had gathered some, and I can't remember if you were there then or not, but I had a number of different examples that I handed out. And looking at some of the things in Connecticut, that had to do with stone walls, that they seem to be a little more expansive. And I was wondering whether it could be not just stone walls, but any stone features, including foundations or stone groupings or whatever that are within the road right away. So it would be a little different from the standard one.
Yeah, expanded a little bit.
Yeah,
Just stone walls.
yeah,
Just say it could be stone features of human origin.
yeah, yeah, something
Um,
like that.
I also started collecting some and combining some and sort of trying to work on a draft. So I have
Uh-huh.
a working draft that I started working on.
Okay,
I'd sort of like to have a draft before approaching the planning board. I don't sort of feel like they're going to have the same investment in historical stuff that we are. And I also am a little worried that they're going to poo-poo anything that's not clearly Euro-American, like stone walls might fit, but if it's a stone grouping that isn't a stone wall, I'm afraid they're gonna,
hmm,
they've shown themselves to be sometimes skeptics about this stuff, but things can change. You know, I don't know how residents would feel about this. Technically, the right of way doesn't belong to them anyway.
hmm,
It belongs to the town. So we're talking about it's a bylaw that affects the town's actions. And also to some extent limits residents.
yeah, I guess that we'll have to figure out the timetable. You may already know, how far in advance you have to do something like that. With planning board, they often have very long, expansive periods before town meeting when they have to propose something in a public hearing or public meeting.
It's not that far because I remember
No.
when they were proposing the revisions to the bylaw for the solar bylaw, they have to have a public hearing like before May.
Okay, all right.
But they could draft something between, or we could give them a draft and say, we want to work with you on this. And then, have a public hearing in March. Leslie, you got your hand raised. Yeah, what do you want to say?
Yeah, I think you're right, Miriam, about timing. I think it's, we have to post it in the newspaper once in 2 weeks, every 2 weeks before the meeting. There's plenty of
Oh.
time. I don't want to kibosh anything, but years and years ago, I'm getting too old. Bill Randall researched this whole thing, and I think I shared it with you, Janice, and I don't know if it's accurate, his line of thought, but there's Route 202, that's owned by the state. We have no authority over that.
No.
Then he said, and he lists most of our roads are county highways, and at the time, we still had a county, and he was saying that we have no authority over county roads. And so he had outlined which were town roads, and then he had driven along all the town roads, and the only town road that had a stone wall, and I'm not saying, nice maples or anything like that, but the only town-owned road was Plaza Road. So I'm not real clear how the scenic byways
Well,
fits in if
Montague
Go ahead.
Road and like Baker Road and Proctor
Yeah.
Road are county owned.
Montague Road is mostly county. Baker, I believe, is a town road. I don't know. I'd have to, he had a map in color outlining, and we have a list of his that showed which are which. But that part's easy to identify. It's very few roads that are just town. The question is, was that accurate thinking to say, of course, we don't have much authority over the state highway. I think that's probably a given. And if it then follows, who owns the roads after the county disappeared? I think Franklin Regional County Council of Governments is the authority. I don't even know that.
Hey,
think they turned them back over to the towns.
yeah,
You think they did?
Yes, I think that was a big move. They had to determine which ones were abandoned versus whatever the other thing was. And it was something that they did maybe the end of the 1990s, somewhere around there, or maybe early 2000s, somewhere in that, I think was when they did this mammoth project to unload the county of unnecessary county roads.
yeah, I think that's right. And that was
Oh,
kind of around
okay.
the time when they voted to take all these abandoned dirt roads and discontinue them so that they were no longer,
Yeah.
and that's, I think, maybe when Carver Road became a private road.
Uh-huh.
I think there was a mistake around Carver Road, and Carver Road was mistakenly turned.
Yeah,
taken
but
to
that wasn't relative to this ownership thing. That was a misreading on Bill's part about when he mapped him out, forgetting that Shutesbury used to go all the way up to the center of Wendell, so that the upper county road would have been up there. Middle county was Lakeview and lower county was Leverett, Cooleyville, Prescott. He had been trying to make Leverett, Cooleyville, Prescott lower, Carver, Briggs middle, and Lakeview north. That was an error on Bill's part, but not related to this county roads
Okay.
thing.
Well, I think Janice is right about that. Because
It could be. I
there's
say
so
I'm
many
getting too
discussions
old.
about the town-owned roads. I mean, I've never heard anyone refer to them as county-owned roads.
Well, we can check. I can check at the FERCog if you want, or whatever the present name is for it, and ask them
That would be,
But that'd be
just to
great.
clarify. Okay.
I can, I will circulate the draft.
Okay.
Do we want to send an email to the planning board and say, we've been talking about this, we put this on an agenda and come talk to you about it?
Yeah. Or should we look at the draft first? I don't know how soon they'd want to jump on that, or is it likely it'll be a month or two before we get onto their agenda?
I think it's gonna be a month or two before we get on their
Okay.
agenda.
I
Henry,
don't
do you
care.
want to do that?
Sounds like a plan.
What do you think, Henry?
Well, yeah. It's a good idea. Figure out what, if we're gonna deal with these stone walls. I mean, want to make sure there are roads.
Yeah, I think there are our roads.
Just to double check is,
We can start having that conversation, and I bet Jeff Lacy will know whether there are roads or not.
Well, that's probably true too.
I could
Yeah.
send, I can send an email to Jeff.
Okay.
Is Jeff interested in this?
No idea.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great idea. And I think in some ways, can't speak for other people in town, but I would think that people like the rural character of the roads with stone walls. I would like to see those preserved.
Mm-hmm.
right.
So Henry, you want to send an email to the planning board?
About this matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say. And yeah, that'll get all of our planning board, not just Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole planning, but just send it to planning.
Yep.
So I have a question. How do I send to the historical commission without a person? What's
It's
the,
historical at shutesbury.org.
it's historical at Shutesbury. Okay, that's it. Sorry. I don't think I've ever done that before.
So is there more public comment as time permits?
I had a quick question, and maybe I missed it before, but is this going to be our regular meeting night? I must have just totally missed that whole conversation. I didn't know. I was like, what's Monday? You know?
We're hoping to have the first Monday of the month be the time,
Okay.
7 o'clock. But as I said earlier, it's
We get bumped if anyone else wants it.
very competitive, and
Well,
you
I've
know,
kept the other Wednesday time reserved
Mhm.
The fallback.
as a fallback. Because I think Azelle wasn't free on Wednesdays, right? Is that true for you, Azelle? Wednesdays were also bad?
Potentially, if I get classes going, I'm trying to run classes at our new art studio on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Right now, Thursdays, but Wednesdays are an improv night, and it's starting to get inquiries about it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Mondays I'm not holding any classes.
Right. There'll be some so it would be the first Monday, and there might be some holidays, but I think January, maybe not. Who knows?
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
if things change, we'll let you know. But for now, I hope it'll be Mondays, first Mondays. Okay. Anything else? Last minute
Not from me.
comments? All right then, shall we move to adjourn?
Okay.
Anybody second?
I will. Janice.
Seconds. Okay, let's go around the room. I guess we have to, the formalities here. Greg Colton,
Aye.
Marion DeFons,
Hi. Hey, Janice, can I call you and talk to you after the meeting's over?
Yep.
Zelfa
Hi.
there she is. Henry Geddes, yes.
And me.
And Janice Stone.
Still. Yes. I'm on the other end of the alphabet. You guys forget about me.
I
Well then, good night.
Good
know.
night.
Good night. I'll call you, Janice.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night.